Locked and ready.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bourbon Basement. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve.
And as you can see, if it wasn't obvious enough already, we have for the first special guest ever on the Bourbon Basement. Would you care to introduce yourself?
I'm Gene.
That's all that really needs to be said about that one. This is my uncle, his brother, another bourbon connoisseur, if you will. And we thought that he would be the perfect first guest to have on the Bourbon Basement. So I can only imagine that this show is going to be even more interesting than it normally is, because we'll have a three-way bickering session rather than just a two-way.
More than that. Mom was talking about that earlier. I talked to her. She was talking about the way you treat me. You shouldn't treat me so bad.
Poor, kind of.
She said,
Poor thing.
You treat me bad on this show.
Isn't he just the most mistreated person on the planet? One thing I will say about him, though, you remember last week we talked about him being on call and he didn't get to partake in the drinking with me. It was horribly hilarious because it wasn't 5 minutes. We're not kidding. 5 minutes after the show ended, he got a call to go to work.
Yeah. Where I went.
Literally 5 minutes after the show ended. So we thought that would have been funny if he got the call on the show and be like, "All right, guys, we gotta go."
That's what we were talking about. If it happened on the show, I'd been like, "Out, see you, right?
Gotta go.
Shut her down.
Continue the
See y'all." So that's
like, yo,
see y'all. See y'all. And it's not just on call with our boy. He works at a utility company too. It's the same way with him. He does on call, but he also it's not just on call. It's anytime it rains, anytime the wind blows, anytime there's lightning. Yeah. You don't have to be on call to be called.
I actually got drenched myself today.
Did you take that new rain jacket that you got? It looks sharp.
I didn't think the rain was supposed to come until after I got off work. It would have really come in handy because the rain moved in about 3 hours earlier than what they said it was going to.
I suppose so.
I have a kid books, school.
So this show, I was kind of debating. So I wanted to have my brother on the show. I wanted him to be our first guest on the Bourbon Basement. So that's kind of awesome. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
And so what I wanted to do when you and I, we kind of got in, you were a little bit into bourbon before me, but we kind of got the love for bourbon together. And
I think you hit it a little bit harder than he did.
Common interest. It's a very big common interest, though, of ours. And one of our first tours that we took together was a bluegrass. And that's in your area that you actually work in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I wanted to do this show, I thought, well, we'll do it on bluegrass.
Good idea.
And it would have been fun, I think.
But
well, you are co-owner of this here particular Van Winkle bottle, right?
I kind of know why you didn't do the bluegrass one, because your best bluegrass bottle that you had, you killed earlier this week.
Well, I had some I could have brought.
Well, whatever.
The Elkwood. That's
we worked it out.
So decided to do the show on the Van Winkle 12 Lot B. We're not going to mistakenly call it Pappy today for all you Pappy lovers.
Oops, I put Pappy in the title.
Turn the show off. Did you really?
Pappy in the title.
That's clickbait.
We need that clickbait.
It's in the family.
I didn't put the lot on there.
It's in the family. It's a Van Winkle Special Reserve. It's in the family.
It's a Van Winkle thing you wouldn't understand.
That's our clickbait, guys. Don't grill us in the comment section. Don't grill us. Don't let us have our happiness.
Let them have it.
Yeah, our 5 minutes of fame were 45 minutes of fame. Okay,
let them have it.
This is probably the only opportunity we'll ever have to do a show like this. Give us this one.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate about my brother that we do, I get in all those auctions and I get in all those like charity things, the events that come out, the Kids Cancer Alliance event and everything, and we'll go halves on some tickets for some raffles that they have, and we'll go. He'll be like, "All right, I got half." There was some things for tours and big bottles, and we would, how much you want to go, and we put our money together and bid, and we still lose, but still, we still lose.
One thing,
but we didn't lose this bottle.
Yeah,
won that one. Do you want me to put Pappy in quotations in the title to maybe take up some of the heat off of us?
An asterisk. I think an asterisk would be better, don't you? Because it is
disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah.
Hey, can I put in little fine print at the bottom? Not actually Pappy, just a Van Winkle family member.
I still call it Pappy. Think of 10.
This is the only
15, 20, 23 all Pappy.
This is the only Pappy we'll ever have. So
we may have another Pappy. enter raffles and
Yeah.
auctions. You never
But
know what's
there's a
going
good
to
chance that
Speaking
you're
of
right.
that, so you all are
It's
able.
probably the only 12 we'll ever have.
You all are able to talk about this. Do you care to? So you won this in. Was it an auction, a raffle?
It was an auction.
It
This
was an
was
auction. So this was an auction, and the auctions are usually in between MSRP and secondary price, usually right in the middle somewhere. Do you care to tell them what you paid for this particular bottle?
$5.50.
$5.50. So split in two, so about two and a quarter each.
Yeah, and then of course you pay
Well,
taxes and
shipping,
shipping and
taxes.
all that kind of
So about
insurance.
$300 a piece is what they got into this bottle. I'm just an innocent bystander waiting to drink some of it.
Not so innocent, but you're a bystander.
I'm a bystander
So
nonetheless.
we did win this bottle, and one of the things is I told him, I said, "Hey, I'll pay $10 more of it if you let me keep the bottle at the end." And he said, "You can have the
Love the bottle, sugar.
brotherly love right there,
Yeah.
brotherly love."
My little brother, man. Take care of my little brother.
So eventually, this bottle will be gone. It's about halfway there so far.
Before, if not before the show's over, shortly thereafter.
But we'll always get to keep our first ever
Sorry, kids.
Pappy Van Winkle bottle here in the Bourbon Basement. We've got our nicer bottles all decorated out of camera over here, so it'll always serve a special place
Yep.
and a very memorable artifact in the Bourbon Basement for you.
When we got this bottle, though, we were trying to plan a special night because we wanted our family to be part of it. Most of our family partakes in a little bourbon. Some of them are bigger bourbon lovers than others. All the guys come to my bourbon tastings. That's kind of the thing that we do together. I enjoy it. Dad's been here, and he's not the biggest bourbon lover.
No, but
The girls, they can take bourbon. They like it pretty well. Some of them, I mean, some of them like some other drinks too, some wines and
I
stuff
would
like
say that
that.
my
But
sister doesn't make that list.
she's not a bourbon lover.
No, she's not an alcohol lover.
Yeah, alcohol lover, and that is good. But
Yeah.
you know, if she stays around, comes around long enough, maybe she'll acquire that taste for the
maybe we'll
the
correct
dark
her too.
elixir, the elixir of life.
Well, Ron, appreciate you tuning into the
Warm
stream, my
soup.
man. Cheers to you as well, as always.
We made the time. We had I think it was Ryan's
Ryan's
birthday.
birthday. We've done something else and stopped over at the house and
That's right.
the whole family.
Happy birthday to me.
It was. So that was in March. Ryan went and bowled a 301, if you can believe it. I don't know how he did it either, but
You know, because he kept scoring.
No, I did bowl a 257 that day.
you had a good bowling. But we had fun bowling, and then we went back to your house. We cracked open a bottle for the first time. We
Had
poured
to eat.
everybody a shot.
Everybody got a taste.
Everybody,
that wanted it.
and since then,
But that half a bottle went a long way.
yeah, it did.
Considering.
And since then, there's been one other half-ounce shot out of this. I won't tell you by who or when, but
I
if
think
you
I seen the episode.
I think you gave yourself away with that. You posted it publicly.
that's how I mean, it was because my next
I think I will take that $10.
But that $10 might need to be bumped up to 50.
Oh, no.
Lie about what that shot is.
Yeah, well, it's my brother. I'd give him a discount.
Okay.
But everybody did enjoy it. We enjoyed it with our family, and we get to do a show on it now. So we're going to enjoy it with you guys. So we want to invite them to a drink. If you have this,
Y'all got some Pappy laying.
this is a special occasion. It's our first guest. If you love us, go ahead and crack open some Pappy
Some Van Winkle.
or Van Winkle 12 or some Over at 10.
Some Weller.
Any Weller brand.
Something from down there.
Yeah.
Hello, Tracy.
You know, y'all got something stored away.
Honor Julian Van Winkle and Open Old Fitz. You know, that goes back to him.
That'll take it right back here.
What we're saying is pull your most special bottle off the shelf and have a drink with us tonight because this is a very momentous occasion on the Bourbon Basement.
Or just get you a will and drink it.
Get you keep gentlemen, guys.
Very old Barton.
Get you
Uh,
some KGs.
That is a good one. We found out that one. That was our winner under $20 bottle.
Ancient age.
Mm-hmm.
That come in second there.
Yep.
No, they tied.
Well, they tied, but you know my taste is better. So very old Barton one.
Friday, happy early Father's Day, Gene Boy and Steve. Cheers, gents. Appreciate you, Corey. Thank you for tuning in. As always.
Thanks, Corey.
I bet you weren't expecting to see this one on here.
All right, so I'll let you pour since I poured at your house.
Okay.
You can pour. I got the thing here. We'll
Now-
go ahead and pour shots, and while we're pouring, we can do some talking.
You can feel
Yeah.
free to free pour yours.
This is the only guest that we've ever had, but it's also the only guest that I know that's brought their own producer over here.
We've
So,
got them sitting off camera. Really,
we're going to pour them a shot of this too, for the producers.
There's fine.
All the
I
producers.
can count. I
Yeah.
really can.
Can you?
Yeah.
So when I
I'm
invited
sent to
Gene
school.
and we decided to do the Van Winkle,
So,
I didn't know which way to go with the history. I didn't know whether to do history on Pappy Van Winkle because this bourbon is his family heritage, or to do the history about the bottle that we're drinking itself. And I studied more about the history of Pappy, but when you read about
That's
Pappy,
a little stiff.
just don't spill any.
Oh my! That's a party foul.
I'll look at
Oh,
it.
no.
Don't touch it.
That's 10. It's right there.
Ryan, pay attention to the computer. I'm talking to you.
So I went into I think we got a comment? Okay. What is it?
I was just gonna. Yours is coming. It's okay. It's on the way.
Yes, please.
It's on the way.
Tell her to hold on. My producer.
Yeah, you producer.
She's been more excited than I have.
Did you spill more?
I might have.
It's on the outside of the glass.
Okay. That's the last time we let him pour.
Okay.
I hope he's a guest again, but he
I
doesn't
actually
get
just
pour.
pour, and I
So-
wanted to make it look fancy.
The first and last time we ever let a guest pour on the Bourbon Basement, we learned that lesson the hard way
Right, for our
the
producers.
first time around.
For our producers. And you all can partake of that anytime. Now,
I think you get
there's enough. We can how do you
Get
do
that
you want
tongue
to
going all the way up the table there.
do y'all want to do official tasting like right away, or do y'all just want to sip a glass to get acclimated and then pour another one and then do our tasting with that?
I'm
I
about.
think we sip and talk. This is a special bottle to us.
Yep.
So we sip and talk, and then when all the talking's done, we do an
Is the
official.
talking ever really done?
Not
With
with
you
our
all,
family.
no.
Not with our family, but
No,
we can sip and talk and then come back and do a tasting. So you all can do your smells and everything, but so I think we ought to get into Pappy himself. This bourbon.
I
It's
said
his
we ought to
family
just
heritage.
acclimate with like a 134 proof and then come back to this.
what are you saying?
So
I said I may have to work tomorrow, but that ain't gonna stop me. Never has
Julian
before.
Van Winkle Sr. All right. I did a lot of reading about him. I've read some books about him. I'm going from memory. I did write some notes down so I didn't get dates wrong, but
Would
I'm
you
not
care
going
to
to
tell
look at
them
them.
the book that you've been reading on?
It was Pappy Land. If y'all haven't read that one, it gives a good dive. It talks about Julian Van Winkle the Third. It's a book mostly about him, but that gets back into the history. That's it. That gets back into the history of the stuff. It's a good read if you want to know about what's going on around 2011 in the Van Winkle area. So that's a pretty good read. Or maybe 2002 because that's about the time they started having Buffalo Trace and all that stuff. Anyway,
It
Uh,
dives deep.
it is a deep dive. So, but Senior, that is who Pappy is, and at this time he wasn't because he started with W.L. Weller, and you all see some Wellers up above Gene Boy there. He started with them in 1909
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say it was like 12
or
something.
1903.
Or 3.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say that?
It was really.
Oh,
So you
I mean,
bourbon,
from-
you
yeah, early.
Pappy history buffs, you all can correct me on my wrong dates, but it was 1903. He started with Weller as a salesman, and when we went to the Stitzel Weller distillery, they actually played on this too. So they talked about Pappy and being there, and he rode around Kentucky and Ohio and Indiana with a horse and a buggy and barrels of Weller on the back, W.L. Weller at the time. So it was cool.
That'd been cool.
Now, W.O. Weller, and this is the funny thing. So when you think about Pappy Van Winkle, you think about some of the finest bourbon there is.
Yeah.
And basically, when it started, it wasn't Pappy. So let's go back.
What was it?
So Old Fitzgerald, W.L. Weller, Mammoth. Have you ever heard of that, or even
I don't think so.
there's something like that?
a little bit before my
There
time.
was another one. Oh, Rebel Yell.
Rebel.
There was another one that I heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebel Yell.
No, Rebel, you know.
Old Cabin Steel. Cabin Steel. So those were what Weller kind of produced. That was their thing. But back then it was kind of cool because you and I would definitely like it. You too, because you like single barrels. Back then they went around selling the barrel bourbon. You sold the barrel, they put it in a tavern, they tapped it. That's what they got their drinks. So back then, everything was like a single barrel. Didn't do all, a lot of stuff that they did. But I am wrong.
Here we go.
God, that
They
hurts.
mix them.
I
They
hate
they
that.
blended them and put them in the barrels, and then they sold the barrels. All right, so they weren't all single barrels. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, but that's what they did. So
It's okay.
he
The
got
Bourbon
started
Basement
with
is
that.
full of false advertising.
Went and did. He went and I'm sorry.
If the title doesn't tell you enough, this isn't actually
Uh,
a Pappy, so we're just going to continue feeding into
so
that hole.
he rose through the ranks, but as far as I know, in 1909, that's when William Weller passed away. Him and Arthur Farns Farnsby. I got to look at my notes again.
Look at your notes. Get it right.
Him and
Ryan's
Arthur,
confusing us a false
Where
advertising.
do the whiteboards go?
they purchased Weller.
Was it Farnsworth?
I just think it was Farnsley. It is Farnsley. I can't read my writing, so my
Farnsworth's
notes
close
really don't
enough.
look good. But anyway, they purchased the Weller uh, part of this, and now they're basically a rectifier. They buy bourbons from somewhere else, and they rectify it by selling these other things. So, what's so funny?
Tori's laughing.
About what?
I guess the false advertisement and the notes.
Okay. So, anyway, with Pappy, he wanted to make bourbon though, so they sourced all their bourbon from Stitzel because it was weeded, and the Stitzel family come over from Holland and everything, and it was wheat over there, so they made it wheated bourbon. Well, that was new. That was new to bourbon because everything was rye.
Yeah.
Like our early settlers and everything.
Yep.
They got into it was rye because that was the whiskey and stuff was supposed to be what was abundant and what you had more of. So you used it to make whiskey so it didn't rot and go to waste.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't like a particular mash bill in these early days or nothing. It was just like, hey, we got plenty of wheat.
We got this.
We got plenty of rice. Let's do this. We got some rice. I don't know if they made it with rice. I'm sure there was some moonshine made with rice and
Simpler
everything.
times. Simpler
Uh,
times.
I feel like I'm taking over the show. I don't like doing it.
But you've got the
Let's-
history, though.
let's-
No.
Let's change paths. I don't know how to change the path, but
We don't know how much of this is true anyway.
no, it is true.
No,
When I do this, there's more than one thing that I read, and then I take if some of them contradict each other, I pick the one that was least contradictive.
That's history. You don't know.
We can do this.
Basically
another
end up
time.
having a
I
battle
want
over
us to
yourself.
talk and to have fun, and
Well, what?
I slowed the show down.
Doing what I normally do. Sit up.
Shut up.
I literally just sit over here and listen. Have an introduction.
I was interested in
Interjection every now and then. That's about my
So-
service.
This bottle's up. Van Winkle 12. We'll skip some Pappy history and we'll go to the Van Winkle 12, the particular bottle that we got. It wasn't Julian Van Winkle III. He's the one that brought this back.
brought it back.
Yeah.
And
He got this.
What was the year?
It was
See, look, you've got history supporters in the chat.
well, so 1994, I think, is when the actual Pappy Van Winkle label was out. And that's because
What happened?
I don't know.
I said you got history supporters in the chat. I don't know. Thought that I was heard the first time.
Thank you all for supporting the history. Felt like I was bringing the show down.
Ah,
Come on, I got two guys here, and you all were just listening. We didn't have the banter and the stuff.
I accused you of bringing something down. Mr.
Am
Life
I
of the Party.
Am I down?
No
Okay.
way, Mr. Life of the Party.
I think it's about time for that screen.
All right, get the chat and screen. Maybe we can get some chat.
Agreed.
All right. So
I can't do it no more. Will you pour me some?
You're allowed to free pour it, but you're not allowed to use it.
Oh, okay. I'm not
let
going
me
to
pop you off. You ain't done there.
I've only
producer two
taken a
and
sip.
producer one. Whoa.
That's water anyway.
I've been wet enough today. I don't need water spilled on the table.
Our producers are partaking some here.
Would you like a drink
All right.
from the family
So
Van Winkle bottle?
and what made the Van Winkle kind of famous? And there was so much history. Might just do an episode, one of those different this episode of kind of the history. So because you don't like to do those kind of shows. So I
All
might
right,
just do
so
a
go ahead
history
and be expecting a video to come out, not
a video,
stream.
not a live.
It'll be all right. History for episode blank of the Bourbon Basement, and it'll be a history of this video.
Deep dived into this thing. But it got so interesting, and there's so many gaps. There's so many gaps in the history, because when Pappy passed, and his son Julian Van Winkle Jr. took over. He was a military man. He come back from the war. He had a Silver Star and Purple Heart. Come back from the war and helped Pappy in the business. When Pappy was he was 91 when he passed.
Wow.
And that was in 65.
The secret to life.
Yeah, and the magical elixir. And then
the actual fountain.
So Julian Van Winkle Jr. didn't take over until 1964, and Pappy died in 1965. So it tells you how long he was the man there. He was 91. So
see, look, he retired, and he passed away the next year.
Yeah.
So that's helpful. That is
we got one getting ready to retire.
It's freaking helpful.
He literally
Thanks, Ryan.
He's probably would have lived to be 100 if he kept going.
Well, that was when the downfall of bourbon was coming, right?
Yeah.
So I think he saw that coming, and Julian Van Winkle Sr. was always about quality and wouldn't sacrifice quality for anything. And I think at this time, he was just heartbroken because the industry was so bad.
Yeah.
He knew that something had to change, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to sacrifice that quality because all his products they were like 10 years old. He aged his wheated whiskey. He was the first mass producer of wheated bourbon, aged wheated bourbon.
Wow.
And that's what made it famous. So
what makes it special.
And then if you go back in the history, it's because he actually purchased Stitzel and the Weller. They were a group. So then they produced their own stuff. So did that make sense? Because before, when he worked for Weller, they didn't produce.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's long history. You'll see it next episode. We're on an episode of show.
He's just gonna start reading y'all chapters out of the book.
I might just
story time.
Get out the
yeah. H2.
It's story time.
Pappy time. Pappy time to see. But anyway, so
a 4 or 5 hour episode.
The second one,
5 parts.
5-part history on Van Winkle.
I've seen podcasts that go 4 hours. What's the difference?
You know what? Pull out the book right now. We'll just have a story time.
Kevin Costner.
All right, so
we'll see how many of you all make it to the end.
Or he'll be there.
But anyway, let's see. I was talking about William Van Winkle Jr. He was kind of set up to take Stitzel-Weller into that where Pappy didn't want to compromise. He was set up to take him to that compromise. So Pappy was out of it. Okay.
All right. So Corey says, for this product in their mix, why did they pick Lot B? Did they pass on Lot A for some reason?
Oh, that's pretty good.
I think you know that answer.
Well, I was just looking at something myself. Yeah, Lot A was when he first barreled this stuff, they put some of the barrels in one warehouse, and it was a smaller warehouse, and that was Lot A. And there was a larger warehouse, quite a bit larger, and it was Lot B. Well, when they started selling it, the Lot A sold out, and it was several years after that they still had Van Winkle, the 12-year to be exact, on the market, but it was all coming from Lot B. So as time, while they were still selling the Lot B, everybody had forgotten about Lot A.
Yeah.
So when he come back with his next barrel, let's just call it Lot B. So it's all Lot B.
And it's been Lot B ever since. So there
for
was no Lot C. There's just Lot B.
It's just Lot B.
Okay.
That's the way I read and I understood.
I understand similar. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
hopefully that answered your question.
Maybe false, maybe not, but
we can't afford much more false information on this show, guys. We're gonna be red flagged.
That's
told anyone.
We're gonna be blacklisted.
Here comes the communication.
What have we told the
commission downstairs? Shut it down.
The what?
The SEC. Shut it down.
What?
The what?
Yeah.
We're gonna get blacklisted on YouTube bourbon channels.
But I felt bad for when I was reading all the stuff about Julian Van Winkle Jr. I felt bad because he took the
fall.
He had to take the fall.
Yeah, he had to
Yeah,
take that.
so they started, instead of
Right.
releasing 10-year stuff, 10-year fits and everything, they took it to 7-year.
Of course, that facts are optional.
The quality went down.
That's why I like
Thanks,
Corey.
Corey.
That's why I like Corey, because he's professional.
You come to the
Optional, just make it interesting.
you come to the right show.
So he took it down, and then 72. So he took over in 64. Pappy died in 65, and by 1972, they had to sell it. And that's another big story that I'll say for the history thing. But just it's so. But part of the condition of the sale was that Van Winkle Jr. got to keep some aging barrels, and he kept an office right there at Stitzel-Weller when they sold it. So he still had an office right there. So, but they had to get rid of all the labels. So he kind of made this, and I'll tell you why. And this was the most interesting thing, and this is the thing I think is most overlooked by people and historians, because he gets a lot of credit for the fall of Stitzel-Weller, which Stitzel-Weller made old fits. I told them earlier, Cabin Steel, old fits, W.L. Weller. They made labels like that. They weren't even making Pappy, right?
Yeah.
They weren't even making it. So he gets the fall for that. But what he did was Farnsley, they owned a label called Old Rip Van Winkle. It wasn't even the Van Winkles that own it, and it isn't even about the Van Winkles. It's about a short children's story called Rip Van Winkle. And it's a story, and I could tell you the story. Maybe we'll do that on Story Time with
We're
Steve.
gonna buy the book.
Story Time with Steve. Van Winkle.
That's gonna be the title of the video, so be looking out for that.
But that's what that label was based on, which I thought, well, that's a kid's story. It's a thing. It's a magical kind of kid's story, and not a good one, I don't think. It's kind of, but old stories like that, old fables and everything were kind of creepy, and that's what it was. So the Farnsley, it was Pappy, it was Farnsley, and it was the Stitzel guy. They were all together. Well, the Farnsley guy owned the old Rip label, so Junior went and said, I'd like to buy that label from the Farnsley family. So he did. He bought that label from them, and he started producing 10-year old Rip Van Winkle with the Stitzel-Weller product that he had in his aging. And so that's kind of how he got the company and kept it going, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Building it back up.
I wonder why it's so plain. Of all the labels,
Because it looks classic.
Have you seen? Yeah,
it's
it's
just an old plain. I mean, I love it, but it's
well, you know, the Pappy. If we had any Pappies, which we unfortunately do not have, Pappy is on there with his cigar.
yeah.
So Van Winkle the third, who kind of runs the place now with his son Preston, he was looking in the basement and found a picture of his grandfather, Pappy, with that cigar back in the 90s, the early 90s, and that's what he said. Hey, I want these labels. I'm gonna start producing older bourbon, and Pappy's gonna be on there, and that's how the 15. So
Wow.
when old Rip. So let's go back to Junior, because old Rip kind of brought this all together, and he saved his company, and he passed in 81. All right. And he made 10 and 15-year. I don't know what's going on. Everything's over my head.
I don't know neither. I'm just saying.
Everything's over my head. Our producers are laughing. I'm not being funny, but it's just maybe the funniness is.
It's because the comments and you talking right.
A little bit delayed, but yes, I agree. Only the bourbon is necessary.
Comments. Talking history. History episode. That's on a Story Time to come.
Hey, I 100% agree with you.
Someone said that facts, the bourbon is awful.
Only the bourbon.
I gave you a little, yeah.
All right.
Doesn't matter about the
Okay.
But you all are
Thank
true
for the show.
You all are true fans if you make it to the end of this one, folks.
New thing to the show. If we get a comment, say pause or stop or hey, let me read this comment.
I like to not have to say pause. I like to just get a free moment and be like, hey, comment.
You know there's no free moments.
Instead of saying, Fine.
Yeah,
Thank you for your comments.
don't care. It doesn't bother me.
Sir, I'm about to we'll have to get separate microphones again so I can mute
Alright.
his on command and get a word in, and then I'll just unmute him, and he'll probably never even
All right,
know that
let
he
me
was
wrap
muted.
up just something. It's so interesting. So Junior got the old rip
This is gonna be
label
a
from
loud
Farmsley
episode.
family. He got the old
Okay.
revelation from Farmsley family. Started making 10 and 15-year Old Rip Van Winkle. It was later that the 15-year became 15-year Pappy Van Winkle, and they took the old rip away. Okay, so the 15-year. Now that was all made early times, all made by the Stitzelweller Distillery that him and Pappy Van Winkle distilled. That was part of Old Fitzgerald's W.L. Weller. So the original old rip,
Old whip.
was Old Fitzgerald and W.L. Weller and all those barrels kind of blended together to make what he made, because that was what he had, and he made a new label with that. Thought that was very interesting. If you didn't, you suck it, because this is my show.
What do you got to say, Ryan?
I'm glad you get to see some of the nonsense that goes on behind the scenes.
Behind the oh, that's right in the middle of one.
All right. Let's talk about bourbon tasting. What do y'all think? So, do we have enough to do an official tasting?
It's good. And
Ryan ain't got none here. Here, give me your glass.
Lord have mercy.
now, just to put this out there, you all drank more out of your first pour than I did. I only had a sip before he taught me back.
It doesn't matter. Let's go.
You're right.
All right. Official tasting. So
All right, I've already been experimenting with my nose. And
yeah,
such.
but you know how to. You got to explain everything.
Okay,
so.
guys, I'm sure that if you all made it this far, you all are normal viewers. So everyone on here has seen me do the tasting explanation, but we do it again just for rewatch purposes for new people. When we do a tasting, we've been on a lot of distillery tours. They do everything a little bit different, but we've compiled 4 steps that we normally go off of as far as our tasting goes. You taking 2 sips, you're coating the edges and all over your mouth, just trying to get acclimated to the burn. If it's a higher proof, you may really need to focus on that second sip to get acclimated fully. But after your second sip, you're going in for your third sip, which is when you actually try to start pulling out flavors. I forgot to mention your nose before you do any kind of tasting or anything.
You know.
Your nose, and they're trying to pull out those flavors and whatnot. We do have coffee beans normally that we use to cleanse our nasal palate.
Anything to cleanse.
Sinuses.
But then your third sip in your tasting is going to be when you're actually starting to pull out those flavors. And then our fourth
Come on in.
sip, we usually use some distiller's water. I doubt we're going to be doing that today because I don't want to put any distiller's water. Normally, no matter whether we want to or not, we will put the water in. But there have been a couple occasions where I have refused to do so. And this is one of those occasions. I don't think any of us are going to be doing it. But that's basically our tasting process. So they're already a couple sips in. I'm not doing any acclimation.
Mr. Julian Van, if you are a bourbon snob, like I kind of am, I like my stuff neat. I like it neat and stuff like that. And it's only because I want to enjoy the liquid that's there and not add anything to it and not take anything away. But some of your biggest distillers, Jimmy Russell, Booker, no. And now, and they say he has an incredible palate. He's an incredible person. If you read about Julian Van Winkle III,
he likes to read.
If you read about Julian Van Winkle III, he's known for his palate and taste because how he produces Pappy now, since everything's different, since the process that they do it is different, since the yeast that they use is different, since the grains are different, it's just wheat is the same, but he does it all by taste. So he picks his barrels and taste, and what he's striving for is that 15-year-old Old Fitzgerald taste that his dad and granddad made. And I thought that was incredible too. So he has an incredible palate. Every one of those 3 guys I just named, they add water to their bourbon. Every one of them. Just a couple of drops. Sometimes it's ice. Van Winkle III says really cold ice. And then he had to explain what really cold ice was, and it's just where it doesn't have air. It's a special ice that he
I was
uses
about
on
to
his.
say, I thought ice
Uh,
would
it
be
melts
cold.
really slow, and it just gets that little bit of water in there that he needs. They all drink it with water. I'm not saying that's how you need to drink it. I'm just telling you that some of these guys in the Hall of Fame of bourbon.
Knowing how bougie he is, he probably gets ice delivered to him from Antarctica or something. Like that's how I would
I
kind
need
of.
glacier ice.
But just drink bourbon how you like
I
it.
need
That's what I'm trying to
Sub-Zero.
say.
Word.
Drink it how you like it.
I need Sub-Zero ice, no less, no more.
Exactly. Look at that. Agreed, John.
So
32 degrees.
What do you all get with your nose on this? Because I find it real interesting.
It's sweet, which I enjoy. Go ahead.
It's sweet, and I get caramel. And I was gonna say my sinuses have been messed up for a few weeks, so
So don't
Oh,
listen to
yeah.
his opinion on anything.
Allergies, I guess.
yeah, just sinus stuff going
So
on.
sometimes when you nose
Sarah-
it, sometimes when you
Sarah-
enjoy bourbon, you still
Great
get nose.
guy, you know.
I missed it. I'm gonna have to
I'll be like,
when I rewatch this
I
episode.
pointed out earlier, you said that, well, I don't even remember all the names. You said too many, but something was 1964 is when he took over, and then someone died in
65, he died, and I
65.
was like,
Man, Winkle Senior died.
And I said, see, look, if he would have just kept working, he'd been fine. He said, isn't that real
that's
sweet?
helpful.
Yeah, that's helpful because
That's
he's
true.
getting ready to retire.
That's what I'm.
10 working days
And
left.
he's gonna do that.
That's
too.
what we're getting.
10 working days left.
I said it's that early retirement sickness setting
That's
in.
what's wrong with
Oh,
John.
already. Early retire. He's trying to give it to you.
I can't get it. I got a long way till retirement.
So many years before
I got
retirement.
so many years left.
So horrible.
I haven't even reached the peak of the iceberg. I'm still
Now,
halfway
the
down.
interesting thing that I get on the nose, so when they age their bourbon so long, the Pappy ages so long, they put it in the coolest spots of the warehouse. So they put it down on the first 3 racks. All their bourbon, I think, according to interviews, come from the first 3 racks of the rick houses. Because when you get it up in the top, it has all that heat. It gets all that absorption and everything. Well, they say it gets too oaky over
Mhm.
that many times.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Well,
one of the special things about wheat is it ages better in a barrel than rye does. Because an older rye, it gets real oaky real fast.
Yeah.
An older
It's
wheat,
harsh.
you can get a 23-year-old older wheat, and it's still really good. Now, one day we'll have a 23-year-old Pappy. I'll have to win it from an auction, but we'll have it, or not from an auction. I'll win it from a raffle.
We're still waiting on that double eagle, very rare.
Oh gosh.
Just putting that out there. He also said he's been trying to get you retired for a few years, and you're not going down that easy. So I guess we'll see how that goes over.
I'm gonna. Yeah. He can be my nephew now. So
I get a lot of
he's gonna be
fruity notes. I get like a caramel apple because I
Get
get
the
a lot of
caramel
that
for sure.
caramel. I get a lot of apple, maybe some pears in there.
my stuff is not working that good, but you know what it tastes like.
It's still.
What do you get, Russ?
Huh?
What do you get?
I'm getting a lot of the same notes as you all, actually. Caramel, a hint of apple, butterscotch comes through pretty heavily for me. A little bit of coffee,
Yeah.
even on like the back end. It's very cafe-esque, and I think that's very pleasant.
Well, I will tell you this. I did the episode where I compared it to other wheated bourbons of a lower price range, and I was really hoping that one of those bourbons would win.
But you really want to
but
open
it
up this
didn't.
can of worms again?
This one did win, and
You get what you pay for.
but anyway, the when I smelt the difference in those compared to this, it was so much different, so much more than it is right now. Since this is all I'm drinking and all I'm nosing, it's good. Yeah, I got those apples and those pears and maybe some caramel in there.
You want to go get the Green River so you can compare
No,
head to head?
but when I did it the other day, it was so obviously more. I compared it to like walking through an orchard. You know, it's just so much more because I compared it to something else.
Yeah.
But
Standing alone.
standing alone, it's still good.
It's
But I am not comparing it to anything,
So
so
it's-
you don't know how much better it is.
He's finally doing what you're supposed to do when you're drinking bourbon. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy drinking.
That's what some people
but
like to do.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
Some people like to do it better. All right.
I'm
That's
not
all
gonna
I can
say
say.
nothing. Do it better.
What are we tasting?
I haven't tasted yet. Not
You
yet.
need- you
Not
need to
after I
start.
pour.
This is the taste.
Oh,
I get cherry.
Mhm.
I get the oak for sure. Um, something else working back there. I like the hit on the back of my mouth at the end.
Yeah.
And it lays there for a while.
Yeah.
It'll lay there for a minute on mine. And
It's not a high proof.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But
it's-
92.
But it-
90.4.
yeah, just a little over. Yeah, but it lays there on me. It lays there.
Yeah.
You can talk about it and even get a little sip of water,
Is there-
and you come back and it's still kind of laying back there.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about.
It stays true to my nose.
Yeah.
I get that caramel apple taste,
Okay.
which is real good. I don't get cherries, but I get that caramel apple in there. Some good sweetness, oak, like a sweet oak, maybe. Maybe I'm tasting that
Yeah.
sweet oak wood.
It's almost like sap.
I don't get any.
In the
You just lick,
in the best way
you just
possible.
lick sap
You never done
like
that
maple
before?
syrup.
You never done that before?
No.
No.
It's a little more bitter than what you'd assume it
Oh,
would
I
be.
would think so.
I'd lick it straight out the tap.
It's sweet, but it ain't overwhelming sweet.
Yeah,
It's got just a nice sweet, but it's so well meshed with the oakiness.
it's a
It's
good pour.
very
There's
good.
no doubt.
There's no smoke in this, so if you don't like a smoky bourbon, you're not getting any of that
See,
char
I,
burn.
I wouldn't call it smoke, but there's a cigar. There's a cigar linger back there after you smoke a cigar.
You got
while you're smoking a
cigar,
cigar. Not
maybe
the
some
smoke.
tab-
You talking
Tobacco.
about the night of or the whole next day? Because you get that lingering the night of, but then the whole next day, guys, you know, it'll taste like you just took a puff off
Yep,
of it.
that's the one.
It's an acquired taste.
It's not a but it's I get
It's there.
I
It's
get there
there.
because it hangs around.
So
You never had it.
Do you want to try?
as far as I go, I'm getting this is another one of those bourbons, and I really like these kind of bourbons where they kind of come in waves. You get something, and then you wait a couple minutes, adjust your mouth a little bit, you'll get something else, you'll get something else and else and else, and it keeps building on itself. And I love bourbons like that. It really makes you think about what you're drinking a little longer than what you normally
agree.
would, just kind of
I agree.
taking a sip.
Makes it interesting.
So first off, the first thing that gets me is oakiness, which I love an oaky bourbon. It's still on the sweeter side. It's almost like a powdered sugar sweet, but not as intense as that. And then it kind of goes to the honeysuckle wave and like a floral-esque. And then the back end of it comes back with like the caramel and then more oakiness as it sits on the back of your palate. And I enjoy every second of it.
I enjoy the bourbon very much too. Now, when I got the bottle and we had it at your house that night, the anticipation and the excitement of it, I was underwhelmed.
Yeah,
I was.
I will agree with that.
I was underwhelmed because I was expecting something just to blow my shoes off. Just
That's the best. Yeah,
It-
it disappointed that way, didn't it?
kind of was. I wasn't disappointed in the bourbon. It was good
But it wasn't what
for the price that we had to pay for it, for the weight that we had to
had
get
to
it.
get it from Chicago.
The try and just trying to win and trying to win and trying to
Yep.
win, and then finally getting it. I wanted more,
Yeah.
and I was disappointed. It's sat here on my shelf for months, and you
Looking
know
at
how long it was, or how hard it was not to open it and try
I
it
can
again.
imagine.
But boy,
Yeah.
it's looked pretty.
It was hard, but now that I drink it again, I can take it for what it is.
Exactly.
I'm not as excited. I'm not as anticipation.
Happy or Van
Yeah.
Winkle. It's just around the house all the time.
Just the Van Winkle 12. I mean, it's only been on the shelf for months.
This is stuff we just picked.
It's easy.
We'll have another bottle tonight. We'll go win an auction right now.
Yeah, you can win any auction you want to win. You just got to pay for it, right?
Yeah,
You
see
can
what he
win it.
does.
You just got to pay.
You got the
And-
next one right?
I got the next one.
Okay.
So before he gets that double eagle.
I can tell you, you can win that. You just got to pay for it. And if you go to secondary, if you're a secondary guy and you purchase from secondary, I ask you please to stop. Go to these auctions and buy them from the auctions. You're going to save a little money, and then maybe that'll slow that secondary
that
market
down.
down, and you might be able to purchase bottles like this for what they're meant to be purchased for.
Yeah,
And a bottle like this at under $200 would be incredible.
wouldn't it?
Can you imagine?
And you couldn't keep it on the
You
shelf.
would buy it every day for under $200,
Yes,
and the MSRP on that is under $200.
Yep. And that's
I think-
because everybody's I mean, the hype is there.
But what happens is you get these people, then maybe they make a living, or maybe they just supplement their income with selling bourbon secondary. So they get them cheap. They sell them for $1,200.
What is it?
Before said it's just money. Savings spends the same as checking. Just saying. I know that all too well. I just don't
I'll
spend
write
it
a
on the
check.
right stuff.
Oh yeah, sure, I can write a check for that.
You see all these bottles here. I had this. I think I'm on my 8th or 9th mortgage now because I just keep buying. I had an intervention like not too long ago. Nobody stopped me from buying yet. Nobody.
No.
I think they
I-
actually
I
told
didn't
him.
think it was totally necessary. I mean, I'm looking out for you, right? I think it's necessary. I will join
Okay,
in.
thank you.
He didn't think he was being for real.
I think he's looking out for you in the best way possible. You know what? You're doing a good thing for the
Great.
cause here.
Great job.
Uh,
I mean, look at this place.
Got a contact from my contact today at a popular big time liquor store here in Kentucky.
You got a contact
And
from my
by-
contact from my contact.
Bottles
Yeah.
today. Just about $5 today. The end of the month episode. I'm going to start doing what I bought this month, and you
I like
are.
the last one.
It's more than last month. You are going to see these bottles, and you're going to say, "Steve's got to quit buying. His credit card's going to max out eventually.
I may have to jump in.
His credit card's going to max out eventually."
We've already got a payment plan and stuff. He's going to pay it off in November.
No, I'm hoping that the debt relief comes. I can just charge up all my cards and just write it off.
Have you got your tax return already? Is that gone? Is that bourbonized?
Oh,
That's probably the whole big bottle
You're
nugget.
gonna liquefy that money. Yeah.
All right, so
It's assets. It's investments.
It is.
I don't know if y'all got anything out of the nose and the tasting of that. I mean, it was kind of sporadic and everything else.
I think I
It's
gave
good.
one of the best descriptions I've ever given on a bourbon before.
I think it is too. So rewind, watch that every time.
Okay, if you say so.
I mean, we got stogie breath. We got honeysuckle. This thing is a pretty good
Sweet oak, caramel, apple cherries.
Little cherry. Yeah.
You come in with
honeysuckle or honey. Obviously bourbon. It tastes like bourbon.
Tastes like
it
bourbon?
tastes
It
like
does taste like bourbon. Honeysuckle, butterscotch, caramel, oakiness, coffee on the nose. I didn't get the coffee.
Fantastic.
I didn't get the coffee on the palate, but yes, it's
I didn't
very
get any
caffeinated.
coffee anywhere, and I'm disappointed I didn't get cherries because I like bourbons with cherries.
Yeah, you don't taste it at all. No,
You know what? Fair enough. Someone said earn that on call money.
Uh,
You earned those bottles because
Yeah.
you didn't get to drink it all last night.
if any of my crew is watching, I'm probably going to ask to take you on calls and be like, "Hey man, y'all want anybody to cover? Get some
it's
overtime."
not Friday night. It's 6.
Yeah, he's
Except
only going to
Friday,
ask
except
that
Friday.
you cover your Friday night, and he'll cover the
You cover Friday, I'll cover the rest of your week, especially Sunday. Sundays don't come down. Sunday, especially Sunday, guys. I'll cover it. I'm not like
caffeine
that.
in that bourbon.
I don't mean that, guys.
Yeah.
Just like
He said
Alright.
he ain't doing on call no more.
Are we gonna give some ratings? Gotta rate it.
Why?
gotta rate it.
You gotta rate it.
I think this is in a league of its own. I don't
Okay,
think that
then-
we've had anything,
Then rate
even
it.
price wise,
Then
close to
rate it.
this.
Tell me how you feel about it.
I think the closest thing price wise for what we paid for it is Oak,
Well,
and it was $200 less than that.
I'm gonna tell you, I
Or
don't
more
know.
after the fees.
I don't know what I rated Okie.
It was
right?
high. I think I
Yeah.
rated it like a 9.2.
Well, my Okie, I rated high. It was good, and this here is gonna rank high. And Okie may rate higher. I don't know. And I'm not saying I like Okie more than I do this, but that OKI, the buff turkey that we did a review on, it stands out in my mind, and it's memorable. Okay, this here, I'm going to remember the name. I'm going to remember the experience, but I couldn't remember what it tasted like from the last time I tried it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's underwhelming.
I think that's a good thing.
I'm saying the experience is part of this, and I do want to try the 15 because I hear that's the best one. That's the one that. So
Just enough age.
well,
not
Van
too much
Winkle,
age.
Van Winkle the third. So he's the guy there at
Here we
Buffalo
go.
Trace. He's the Van Winkle now. He was asking in an interview if you had to pick one case of bourbon to be stranded on a desert island with, what would you pick? And he said he would pick the Old Fitz 15 that his dad and his Papaw made. That's the one he wants. Now, the difference in that is that Old Fitz there was a different process in making that. I don't know what it was, but it's lost in time now because Stitzel, he was a craftsman. He was a scientist. He was a chemist. That Stitzel guy could weave a web of bourbon, and whatever he did made that taste change. And if you read or
I hope the destination doesn't end for a long time.
I hope it doesn't either.
You know,
Every one of these are Kentucky bourbons behind us, and on that wall, and on that wall, and then behind the bar.
Yeah.
Every one of them's Kentucky bourbons. I'm going to try them all.
It shouldn't
You
be.
got some?
I don't have a way to pause
Oh.
this, producer.
Never mind, it's going.
Okay,
What,
it's
we lose it?
probably we have so many things on the Wi-Fi right now. Your phone's probably buffering.
Okay.
Oh, so we might have the typical technical difficulties.
Typical.
The typical
That's what makes it.
difficulties.
That's what makes
Now, after tasting the Van Winkle again, does the old Emer really still compete?
We're gonna find out in a minute. I am.
Yeah, you need to find out.
I'm
That'd be
ready
a good
for
one. The old Emer
I don't think we should have opened up this can of worms again.
for
This is in a completely different league.
it is, and I'm not
But
saying that the old
just
Emer was better, but the
journey,
I
man,
cannot-
the journey down the road.
Look at the history. You think old Emer's got that?
No.
Okay.
I can go to Total Wine in Lexington, Kentucky,
You get what you pay for.
and pick up an old Emer
My-
every day of the week for
I rate-
a little over $40. I can't get this bottle again without special circumstances.
You get what you
Coming
pay
in.
for. I rest my case.
Well, the old Emer doesn't compete with this. It was a point and a half, I think, behind in my tasting on my other thing. So, and for me, that's a big gap. But it's $40 and it's good. And give me a month or two, I may not remember what this tastes like, and that old Emer is going to be real good.
Yeah.
I can pretend. So that's the thing that I get to with these bourbons. The only bourbon, and I've tasted a lot of bourbon, and the only bourbon that's really stood out, and I've said, wow, to was that OKI Buff Turkey. And that's not saying it's the best bourbon I've ever tried. It's the bourbon that when I tasted it, I had the oak, I had the smoke, I had the caramel.
Yeah.
It had everything that everybody describes bourbon with that I could.
That you wanted it. That you
I could
taste it. You
taste.
pull it out.
Ryan may be able to taste it in this bottle,
Yeah.
but I could taste it in that bottle. And that's what makes that bottle so special. Now, will I ever have another old Okie or OKI 16-year? I would love to.
Yeah.
But MSRP on it's $350.
Yeah.
The auctions, they're going for about $500 right now. I'll probably never see
Yeah,
another.
exactly.
But I remember that.
But we can do that for that
Yeah.
if we split it.
And I can remember that taste.
Yeah.
I remember that taste, though. And that's what I'm getting at. Van Winkle III, he remembers that old Fitz 15, and that's the one he wants to be stranded on a desert island.
That's pretty cool.
That's what he's trying to chase. Every Van Winkle label, he's trying to chase that old Fitz 15.
That's
If I'm getting stranded on an island, I'm either taking an entire shipment load, not a barrel, an entire shipment load of double oak Woodford or Okie.
If I'm stranded on a desert island, I don't want bourbon. I just want my producer with me. That's all I want.
Amen.
Here we go.
I was gonna say not your producer, my for me. Your producer. Yeah, not yours. No.
I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I see here now that I'm looking at it that it does say that the stream disconnected 2 minutes ago and was attempting to reconnect. I have no idea why that happened. It doesn't look like it was offline.
I bet there was some profound statements made in that
It's because it was the norm here on the Bourbon
because it
We
happened.
always have
Pappy Van
technical
Winkle. Pappy Van Winkle. I appreciate you tuning into this.
Wow, he is a Pappy man. He has to be a Pappy fan.
That's a 10 out of 10 name.
I'm going to do an episode next week about the history. You need to tune in and comment on that episode.
We're not actually claiming that this is a Pappy Van Winkle, but we needed the clickbait in the title. So
Yes.
bear with us.
Don't
We
stop
know
the
that
stream there.
We know that this is not a Pappy.
Click a like and subscribe.
Did you try the Elkwood Farms?
Yes.
Okay, and underwhelmed. Good.
Considering that we're considering it buff turkey, it was nothing compared to OKI.
I think the 1 year did
It was
make a
good.
difference. I thought
I
it was
mean,
real good, though. But
I
I
like
think
The OKI was a higher proof by a good bit.
Mhm.
It was like a 134 proof. It was aged another year. The oakiness came out more for me. and it didn't really
Yeah,
taste like the
compared to a
same.
115 proof, the
Yeah,
Elkwood
Yes,
Farms
but
is a 115.
but
loved it.
when you're going up another almost
15 points.
15
Yeah.
points, I mean that's a big jump.
Yeah, it is.
The
I was just
Elkwood
curious
Farms
because that was another good
15,
bourbon.
Elkwood Farms 15
It's not oak.
is another buff turkey, and it is very
My bluegrass
very good
distilleries.
by Bluegrass
Yeah.
Distilleries.
You
Very
won't-
good.
I don't think you'll find it
If you
anymore.
see it, I think it's
I
gone.
was out there today at the distillery. Now.
Anymore. So consider yourself lucky if you did get yourself a bottle. I'm sure that they may be
They've got
in the
some
future
they got some
somewhere.
10-year-old stuff out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And some I
All
saw
the history
some
behind it.
saw some nines on the shelf. That may be
Yes,
their
and
product.
they've got an 8 left over, and then they've got a little bit of your Perry Bradshaw sitting around out there.
Oh yeah, because they bottle
They
that.
bottle that for you.
See, I didn't even know that, and I deep dived into Terry Bradshaw, and I didn't know bluegrass.
Just didn't come up.
Yeah, but I didn't know bluegrass bottled
Yeah.
it for it. I thought because Green River makes it, so I thought everybody. I thought it was all done at Green River.
Yeah.
But
All
it's
right.
done at Elkwood.
So we've gotten way off topic here.
Really?
We were gonna
I thought that's
rank
what
this
show
thing,
was. I was
or we were
told
gonna
it
give
was
this thing a
a topic
rating
show.
15 minutes ago, and we never did.
Well, let's give it a rating because I know my rating, and I don't know what I gave the. Okay, I don't know what my highest rating is, but I know what I'm rating this.
Well, let's start with you.
8.8.
Wow.
I'm rating that an 8.8. Just the history behind it
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. The taste is fantastic. I can't say that it's the greatest bourbon I ever tasted, but it's definitely not anywhere near the middle. It's so much above the
Yeah.
middle of every bourbon that I've
Definitely
tasted.
above the middle.
I've had a different experience with it every time that I've tasted it.
That's beautiful.
When it's setting compared to something else, you can tell just how outstanding it is. Drinking it alone, I don't know. Drinking it alone, you think, man, this is good, but is it as good as they say it is? Is it as good as it's
Because you don't have
supposed to
nothing
be?
to.
Because you don't compare it. But when you put others up there, Ryan's got a funny comment.
No, it's this guy.
I was-
I just want to let you know, your name has made my night. Your name is absolutely great. But they said Bradshaw is great.
Bradshaw's great.
Vappy Wampinkle said Bradshaw is great.
Bluegrass is-
Name made my
Bluegrass
night.
is a cool little distillery. I'm just throwing a plug in for my buddy.
There
man.
you
It's
go.
a Good little place. There.
I love Bradshaw because I got to meet him when I got his bottle and he signed my bottle.
If you haven't watched that episode, we
Uh,
did do a stream on it. Go back.
Me and him are best friends now, and you'll hear that many times. During
So
the
many
episode.
times. In the
So
Actually, I think he's coming over tonight.
is that right?
Terry, are you watching? You're supposed to be here tonight at 8, Terry.
We got another seat for you.
Yeah, you're supposed to be here tonight at 8. It's almost 7.
We'll
So
play him on the couch.
yeah, he can sit on the. You can sit with the producers. He probably like that better anyway.
Good,
Him and his wife sit back there.
good.
Yeah, but Terry's a character, and his bourbon is good. But back to I give this 8.8. Like I said, best. Great
I was about to say,
experience.
we're really going down another wormhole.
Yeah.
We did.
Uh,
We always
Love
do.
the flavors, love the bottle, love the. I want it to be more accessible. I don't want to have to go to an auction and win it or anything like that. But it's never going to be that
I
way.
don't think so.
And if you get into the history, if you get into the recent history, they're going to produce some more bottles, but they're never going to mass produce this, and that is
Why-
on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you?
They don't mass produce on purpose.
Yeah.
But they are making more bottles. So, all right, next rating.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, rate that thing.
Well, I hope I never find a 10 because if I do, I think the journey's over.
Over.
Yeah.
But I was going to say an 8. I think the label, the mystique behind it, the modern history where with the law involved and the stealing of the barrels and all that stuff.
We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't get to there, but
Yeah.
that's
Spoiler alert.
right.
We have
So everybody knows that. That's what made the crap famous. I
That's
think.
on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that was in the newspaper around here, right?
Yeah, it was.
just
Around here, it's
2
local
counties
news.
over. Yeah. Anyways, all that allure to it has made me want it. I was proud to own it with you.
Yeah.
I'll be proud to finish it with you after a while
That's
when
right.
this is over with. But I'm going to give it an 8. I don't know if I've had any better. I've got some bourbons I like as well.
Yeah.
For different reasons.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it an 8, and I'm going to let you go because I bet time is ticking. I bet this has been a heck of a
It
long
doesn't
episode.
matter.
just
We
now
can go as
crossing
long as we
out.
want to go.
Okay.
We're just now
Uh,
crossing now.
But
Right.
everybody's
I'm going to give
bored.
y'all's Ryan rating right now, 12.8.
Ryan's rating is
I mean,
100
that's why I went last because mine's going to be super contradictory
It
to theirs
always
and
is
very
because it's
controversial.
us and it's him.
It's
Uh,
Go
it's
Ryan.
going to be very controversial, but this
It won't.
is in a league of its own. It's a completely different price bracket. It's so exclusive. It's got so much history and stuff behind it. There is no bourbon that I have personally had myself that lives up. I mean, this bourbon's got a lot of hype behind it, right? I think it kind of lives up to the hype. Like, just if you actually do a little bit of research on this and know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you open that bottle, and you know how much you paid for it, you know what goes into the making of it, and you know how special this bottle is, then it shouldn't compare to anything else that you've really had. So this one, it may be subject to change in the future if we ever get some more higher priced bottles like this, but this one's going to be at a 10 for me and it's going to stand that way.
Wow.
I can lower this one
10,
eventually.
baby.
Wow.
I can lower this one eventually if the opportunity presents itself that we do happen to get our hands on another exclusive bottle, but that's going to be my ranking
love
for
it.
now.
Well, I love it too, and that's what
That's
bourbon.
right.
That's what bourbon's all about.
Love it.
Everybody has a different palate. Everybody has a different opinion.
And that being
Everybody
said,
has different taste.
this is not just a biased opinion. That was a fantastic bourbon to drink. So
It
it
is.
is. I think
It
it
is.
is in its own bracket away from everything else that we've had.
To get a comparison of my brother, since it was his first visit, you gave this an 8.
Mhm.
We know that some of the home bourbons is like a Woodford Double O.
Mhm.
All right. So
Me too.
what would you, if you had to rate that, what would Woodford Double O be? So I can kind of get a standing of where you're at.
How do you need a sip of a little bit of double oak right now
Oh, no,
to put it
we
fresh
want
on your
this.
palate?
No, we got to do this.
I don't want no false rankings.
I would probably say a high 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
A high 7, and this is an 8. So it's just in your palate, it's just a little better.
It's there. I'm not going to give it all the way up, but yeah, it's up there for me, bub.
Okay.
It's up toward the best I've
I just wanted to see where your scale was.
Okay.
We know that Ryan has told everybody my scale's lower than most.
His scale is a lot broader than mine.
Well,
I rank based on the bourbon that I'm drinking, not what I've had in the
we
past.
rank on our palate, on the way we feel.
Yeah.
And I think I heard you guys talking the other night that one night it's one way and one night
It changes. It
because
does.
It
And
changes.
it depends on what you eat, what you drink,
Did you have
how your
Mexican
day's
food?
been.
Did you have Mexican food today? What mood are you in?
Yes, what mood are you in? How's your day been?
Big
I'm in a
fucking
great
big.
mood right now.
All I know is when I pour a glass, it doesn't matter if it's bottom shelf or if it's top shelf.
I'm gonna sit down
When
with
I
one goal.
pour a glass,
Enjoy it.
I enjoy it.
That's what I
Doesn't
that's
matter
I'm
what it
looking
is.
for. I'm
I
gonna
do
sit
enjoy
down and
I
enjoy
can't
it.
say that I sip every glass that I pour, but I do enjoy every glass that I drink. Some of the wells I will just kind of knock them back like a cowboy, because I think that's kind of
Not only some of the wells, I've seen you knock back some mid shelf and
knock
maybe
back
some
some
just
Woodford
below
now.
top shelf.
Oh, just below top shelf.
Maybe
That's
some
wild.
just below top shelf.
I can put away some bourbon, guys. I don't know what I can put away some bourbon.
All right, our producers are saying we need to wrap it up, so
Either that or rewind. I don't know.
rewind or
I
wrap
think
it
you're
up.
saying run it back, Cuervo.
Run it back.
Run it back. All right. Okay, so Pappy Van Winkle Sr.
Oh Lordy. Close us out, Ryan.
All right, guys. Hopefully, you all did go on to enjoy this episode. It was a little bit different. Thank you so much for my Uncle Gene Boy here for being our first
Glad to be
guest
here.
on the
It was
Bourbon
fun.
Basement.
Too much fun.
Shout out to
Fun.
all of you all champions that made it through the end of this episode. God knows it's been a doozy. But hopefully it was very entertaining. I think it should have been because if we
We
had
were
these good,
entertained.
we had a good
We
time.
had a
I think
good
you all had
time.
a good time with us.
We had fun. I did too.
We'll be back next week.
You
Right
can come
around
back
6 o'clock.
any week you want to come. You're welcome. You're open chair. Sometimes we might be standing behind the bar.
I like to stay too. So.
Let us know in the comment section if you all have had the opportunity to try any of the Van Winkle family, or if you've had the particular 12-year that we've had, or if you've had an actual Pappy, whether that be a 15, a 20,
20 and 23.
23. Okay. So, such a fun episode. Thank you for sharing your love of bourbon and your Pappy with an asterisk
No doubt.
Awesome show. And then we got a couple of fingers pointing up to the other comments. Thank you all for bearing with us through this. It wasn't an unplanned episode, but it was definitely still just kind of a fly by your seat of the pants
It'd
episode.
been another hour if I continued with history. It was just so much.
I was in.
You all, that's another thing you all can look forward to. Apparently, a video
We'll do a
coming
video.
out on the Bourbon Basement of the actual in-depth history. If you all are curious as to what this bottle actually means and why it is so exclusive and why it costs what it does. But all that being said, guys, we're going to stop blabbing on. I'm sure we've talked plenty for you all's Friday evening. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to that episode coming out. And as always, guys, why drink alone?
When you can drink with us.
And us.
And
And
us.
him.
Hey, Ryan,
What?
could I have one of those big hugs that you never
Could
get?
I have?
Should get one.
Let's go out for today, right? Bye, guys.
Bye.